For a brief stretch of modern cycling, Jonas Vingegaard became something rarer than a superstar. He became unsolvable. The Tour de France bent around him. Tadej Pogacar's promised dynasty was briefly suspended and found himself worn down by a rider who thrived on control and dominated him even in his own terrain. Then the luck turned. Since Vingegaard's Tour de France triumph, the story of the Great Dane has repeatedly been interrupted by crashes, seasons stitched together rather than clearly being built. 2024 brought the brutal Tour of the Basque Country crash. 2025 followed with another setback at Paris-Nice and other ailments, and suddenly the rider, once defined by flawless preparation, had been forced into survival mode at the Tour de France. Still finishing second, which was impressive, but not winning like he had. Which is why heading into 2026, the question no longer feels dramatic, it feels unavoidable. At Vingegaard's peak, he looked untouchable in the one place that mattered the most, week 3 of the Tour de France. However, heading into 2026, that has certainly begun to erode, and it's the first time people are starting to ask the question that once felt almost absurd: is Jonas Vingegaard starting to decline? But before we start, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The video of how Jonas Vingegaard won the Vuelta a España in 2025, or even his first ever English interview he did with us right here on the channel. The decision to include the Giro d'Italia in his 2026 program is commendable, but it's also where the anxiety truly begins for many fans. For years, Vingegaard's dominance rested on one ruthless principle: everything for the Tour. No distraction, no deviation, just arrive at the Tour in perfect condition. However, the context matters. This isn't just a random experiment. Tadej Pogacar changed the narrative in 2024, becoming the first rider since Marco Pantani to complete the Giro Tour double, and remarkably appeared not to suffer at the Tour, dominating that even more so in week 3. And for the first time in the modern era, the Giro stopped looking like a guarantee handicap and started to resemble proof of invincibility. So for 2026, it seems that the temptation was too much to ignore for Vingegaard to respond.
Yeah, so I chose to ride the Giro.
It's not just about the race, there's legacy at play. Jonas has already won the Tour de France twice, as we know, and the Vuelta a España in 2025. The Giro, the missing piece in his palmarès of the Grand Tours, not even having been at the race in his career, but having won many times on Italian soil, with Coppa Bartali being his first stage race win, and even winning Tirreno Adriatico as well. So winning the Giro d'Italia would place him amongst the most exclusive names in cycling history, riders who have conquered all 3 Grand Tours across their careers. Only 7 men have done so to date, those being Eddy Merckx, Bernard Hinault, Jacques Anquetil, Felice Diamonde, Chris Froome, Alberto Contador, and Vincenzo Nibali. So joining that list alone would redefine Vingegaard's career. He's already put himself in as the best ever Danish rider, and this would be an accomplishment that not even Tadej Pogacar has done. And yet, the inclusion of the Giro d'Italia to his program, there is fear that persists amongst pundits and fans, because not only of Pogacar's physiology, racing style and resilience, but also the level of competition seems better at his Giro d'Italia compared to the one Pogacar faced. However, Vingegaard and Visma have countered this with him proving how strong he has been in successive tours, twice doing the Tour and the Vuelta a España, doing so in 2023 and 2025, and his power numbers not being impacted as much. Will the Giro weaken him? That is the big question. It looks like if you want to beat Tadej Pogacar, you have to be better than your A game, and if he does get weakened by the Giro, there is simply no chance of him coming close. The other factor that worries people with Jonas Vingegaard's story in 2026 was the sudden and immediate surprise retirement of one of his lieutenants for 2025, and that was Simon Yates, the Giro winner last year, who was a new rider for Visma Leasebike in 2025, but added significant strength in the mountains for Vingegaard in the Tour de France team. Yates was not just a mountain domestique, he was a tactical weapon, a GC level rider who could survive deep into the final climbs and force UAE Team Emirates to respond and give Vingegaard breathing room. Without him, Visma's mountain support that already is looking thinner by this season looks the weakest we've probably seen since Vingegaard's first podium finish. Including losing Simon Yates to early retirement, we have also seen off-season crashes to Wout van Aert. Sepp Kuss doesn't look as frightening as he has been in the past, and no real superpower to come in and replace all these giants. Jorgensen is a strong rider, but is he enough to fill the boots of all those previously mentioned riders? That is the question. Meanwhile, their rivals of UAE Team Emirates are evolving in the opposite direction. Pogacar is surrounded by depth, aggression, and now his heir of Isaac Del Toro, who almost won the Giro last year. So it seems that Jonas Vingegaard could very easily be isolated in the mountains and surrounded by a truly frightening UAE Team Emirates team, and he could be left alone to fend for himself. Against Pogacar, the imbalance is dangerous. Then comes the other worry, layered on top of the risk of going to the Giro and losing Simon Yates, is the bad luck that the Dane has had. As we said, the Tour of Basque Country almost ended Vingegaard's career, not just this season. He did bounce back at the Tour and finished an impressive second place and even taking a stage. That comeback was truly heroic. In 2025, history didn't repeat itself, but he did have a bad crash at Paris-Nice. Another crash, another disturbance, another disrupted build-up. Another reminder that his preparation windows were narrowing, but still enough time to get to a very good shape for the Tour. Then in 2026, the bizarre story in Malaga, a training crash involving an amateur, not in competition, not in extreme conditions, just weird bad luck on the descent. On its own, it might mean nothing. In context, it felt ominous. 3 seasons, 3 disruptions to his preparation. For a rider whose greatest strength is control and consistency, chaos is the enemy. So should this worry? For fans, the opinion was split. Some people blaming Jonas Vingegaard for the incident, the others blaming the fan, and the team urging fans to give the riders space. With all this, perhaps the most uncomfortable question isn't physical at all, it's psychological. Are all these things, including the Giro, a sign of hunger, a rider chasing legacy and completeness, or is it a response to a rival who now dictates the sport's direction? Vingegaard has never raced with flair. His confidence lives in preparation and control, but control is slipping. His seasons are fractured, his team is thinner, his rivals look freer, stronger, and more aggressive than ever. Pogacar isn't just winning, he's expanding his domain, racing more, attacking earlier, redefining what a Tour contender looks like. Vingegaard is not finished. On a raw climbing ability, he still stands amongst the very elite the sport has ever seen. He remains one of the best stage racers in the world. A Tour de France podium is still a very realistic outcome, and he is one of the best Tour riders in terms of podium finishes. On the right day in the right mountains, he can still drop almost anyone. But beating Pogacar again, beating him over 3 weeks with a Giro in his legs, a thinner team, and a history of disruptive preparation, that question no longer has a comfortable answer. In 2026, Jonas Vingegaard isn't being doubted because he has become weak. He's being doubted because margins that once defined his greatness, perfect preparation, total control, team superiority, are disappearing. And in an era ruled by a rider who thrives on chaos, disappearing margins may be the most dangerous thing of all. Anyways, with that, that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below what you think of Jonas Vingegaard in 2026. Do you think it's going to be a Giro win, another podium finish at the Tour, or could he surprise everyone and do the Giro Tour double? I for one hope he can do so, and of course we are big fans of him here on the channel. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.